Admiral, good to see you, man. Thank you. No, absolutely. Thanks for having us. We're thrilled to be here. We are in a couple of, yeah, me too, man. Thank you. flag down. All right. Raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I state your name. Do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same. And that I will obey the orders of the President of the United States and the orders of the officers appointed over me, according to regulations and the Uniform Code of Military Justice. So help you God. Congratulations, sailors. We're proud of you. All right. So we got some challenge points for you. All where do we got to go? There we go. Thank you. There we go. Congratulations. Roger. Thank you.
Shift over to the side. No more than 5. When I start spinning.
Look to the horizon, ladies and gentlemen. In just a minute, you'll see the iconic and world-famous flight demonstration team, the United States Navy Blue Angels. Right now, they are screaming up the Hudson River in their legendary 6-jet Delta formation. Be sure to note how rock-solid that flight path is. Following closely behind the Blues, we have a massive, roaring wall of sound. A 10-ship mixed formation showcasing the raw, tactical muscle of the United States Navy's carrier air wings. We have 8 F/A-18 Super Hornets escorting 2 of the cutting-edge F-35C Lightning IIs. Breaking the tension now with the magnificent splash of color. Look up for the French Air and Space Force's elite aerobatic team, the Patrouille de France. These 9 Alpha jets are red and white and blue smoke. What a beautiful display of Allied aircraft. Ladies and gentlemen, history is roaring to life over the Hudson right now. Look up to see the breathtaking commemorative Air Force in a stunning formation. Leading the pack are legendary heavy bombers from World War II, the mighty B-29 Super Fortress, escorted by a sleek, snarling P-51 Mustang.
Thank you, JD.
We're just gonna hang out for a second. Well, we can once you get settled in this system. Yeah, we'll go to that. I can pull you. Clear. We're gonna pull.
Where you guys going now?
What's up?
Where are you going now?
So we're gonna go, once he sits down, we'll go, we'll get to another position to shoot like HUD shot of him.
You want me to go remote?
If you want to, but they're asking us to wait here. But yeah, you go to the vault. Yeah.
What are we gonna do?
We're gonna go. They're gonna kind of take us around to get cut shots of the VP. Are we?
For how long? A couple minutes. Oh wow.
From the deep rumble of the past to the futuristic sound of the present, look to the south as a U.S. Marine Corps MV-22 Osprey approaches the flight line. Watch closely as it crosses the center point. Those massive 38-foot prop rotors can gracefully shift from forward flight mode into a vertical hover. Today, it remains in forward flight as it flies up the Hudson before our eyes. The Osprey is an engineering marvel. It is the world's first production tilt-rotor aircraft, giving the Marines the high-speed, long-range performance of a turboprop airplane combined with the vertical takeoff capability of a helicopter. Coming in low and steady now, we have a pair of U.S. Navy C-2A Greyhounds. Notice that unique high-wing design and the distinctive four-finned tail configuration. These twin-engine turboprops might not have the flashy speed of a fighter, but they have served as the absolute lifeline for the fleet for many years. Right on the heels of the Greyhounds, block out the sun for two massive U.S. Marine Corps KC-130J Super Hercules transports. These four-engine tactical tankers are flying in a tight side-by-side formation, showcasing the incredible stability of this legendary aviation framework. The Herc has been in continuous production longer than any other military aircraft in history, but these modern Marine Corps versions are uniquely specialized. The K in KC-130 stands for tanker. And now for a very special debut. Looking to the south, we have a pair of sleek twin-engine turboprops flying by. These are the brand new U.S. Navy T-54A Marlin IIs, making one of their first major public appearances. This aircraft is the brand new backbone of the Navy's multi-engine training system, based on the commercial Beechcraft King Air 260. The T-54A is actively replacing the venerable T-44 Pegasus, which has been training naval aviators since the late 1970s. Up next, we welcome one of the newest members of the NATO alliance, Sweden. Hailing from the Swedish Air Force, this is their heavy lift champ, the C-130H, known locally in Sweden as the TP-84. Keep looking south, everyone. If you've ever wondered what absolute structural strength looks like, this is it. Flying by now is a Lockheed WP-3D Orion, operated by the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, better known as the NOAA Hurricane Hunters. This massive 4-engine turboprop is heavily modified and bristles with specialized weather radars, including that giant distinctive black dome sitting under the fuselage. Coming in next, we have a beautiful two-ship formation representing the lifesavers of the U.S. Coast Guard. Leading the pair is the long-range HC-130J Super Hercules, flanked closely by its medium-range counterpart, the HC-144B Ocean Sentry. Representing the humanitarian heart of our armed forces, they sport that unmistakable, high-visibility white, orange, and blue paint scheme. These aircraft are a beacon of hope for those in peril at sea. They watch over millions of square miles of ocean, embodying the uniquely American commitment to saving lives and enforcing the rule of law. Closing out our heavy transport and rescue block today, the sky is filled with a massive display of Air Force tactical power. Flying overhead in a tight side-by-side pass is a standard C-130J Super Hercules alongside its highly specialized brother, the HC-130J Combat King II. The HC-130J Combat King II is a legend as the Air Force's only dedicated fixed-wing personnel recovery platform. A powerful reminder of the American ethos, no man left behind. Flown by Air Combat Command, its primary, highly dangerous job is to sneak deep behind enemy lines at night to rescue downed pilots or isolated troops. Up next, beating the air into submission is an impressive 5-ship formation of U.S. Navy MH-60R Seahawks, known in the fleet as the Romeo. This helicopter, equipped for its primary mission of anti-submarine hunting, is the undisputed apex predator of the ocean surface.
And here comes a flash of bright orange and white. Listen to the high-pitched hum of 4 U.S. Navy TH-73A Thrashers flying past in an immaculate diamond formation. This sleek helicopter is the advanced training platform for the next generation of Navy, Marine Corps, and Coast Guard helicopter pilots. Representing the Kingdom of Spain, we have an incredibly rare mixed 3-ship formation from the Spanish Air and Space Force. Look at this spectacular lineup: 2 nimble H-135 trainers and a rugged H-60. The MH-60S Seahawk, commonly known as the Sierra, is the U.S. Navy's ultimate multi-mission workhorse, designed for vertical insertion, combat support, and search and rescue. Up next, we have a pair of U.S. Navy CMV-22B Ospreys. This specific variant is the Navy's premier choice for carrier onboard delivery, taking over the job from the C-2A Greyhounds we saw earlier. And here comes a magnificent sight. 8 CT-114 Tudors from the Royal Canadian Air Force painting the sky with smoke. These jets belong to the legendary Canadian Forces Snowbirds as our closest neighbors and NORAD partners. From the deep drone of the Maritime patrols, get ready for a sharp buzz as 4 U.S. Air Force T-6A Texan IIs cut through the airspace in flawless formation. Keep an eye for those vibrant blue and white markings. This single-engine turboprop is the very first aircraft every single aspiring Air Force and Navy fighter pilot straps into to learn the fundamentals of military flight. Swooping overhead now is a crisp formation of 4 U.S. Navy T-6 Texan II aircraft. Don't let the propellers fool you. This turboprop powerhouse is where every single Navy and Marine Corps pilot begins their journey to earning their wings of gold. Screaming in now are 4 U.S. Navy T-45 Goshawks. This sleek, single-engine orange and white jet is the final step for student aviators before they transition to tailhook aircraft that land on United States Navy aircraft carriers. The E-2D Advanced Hawkeye is the U.S. Navy's premier airborne early warning and battle management platform. Featuring a state-of-the-art APY-9 active electronically scanned array radar, this digital quarterback provides 360-degree long-range radar surveillance, tracks hundreds of air and surface targets simultaneously, and coordinates complex strike warfare deep into hostile territory. Did you know that the Hawkeye's distinctive rotating radar can monitor the air, sea, and portions of the land simultaneously, giving commanders an unmatched picture of the battle space before friendly forces ever arrive? Bringing a thunderous rumble to the skies now is a roaring four-ship formation of U.S. Air Force A-10 Thunderbolt IIs, affectionately known as the Warthog.
Making a spectacular international appearance next is a single Airbus A330 multi-role tanker transport aircraft representing the Spanish Air and Space Force. This enormous wide-body aircraft is a true dual-threat asset. Looming large is a solo U.S. Air Force C-17 Globemaster III, showing off its jaw-dropping profile. This aircraft is the modern arsenal of democracy, capable of delivering hope in the form of humanitarian aid, or formidable power in the form of combat troops, to any corner of the earth in a matter of hours. Shifting our gaze back to our international partners, the German Luftwaffe is represented by twin-engine Eurofighters. This formation shows off Germany's rapid reaction capability to deploy anywhere on the globe at a moment's notice. Sweeping over the Hudson next is a tight four-ship formation of U.S. Navy P-8A Poseidons. At first glance, you might think you are looking at standard commercial passenger airliners, and you wouldn't be entirely wrong. The P-8A is a heavily modified from the ubiquitous Boeing 737 airframe. But don't let the corporate look fool you. This is the Navy's ultimate state-of-the-art submarine hunter. Block out the sun, folks, because approaching from the south is the ultimate display of American strategic air power. A historic three-generation heavy bomber triad flying together. Leading the formation is the unmistakable bat-like shadow of the B-2 Spirit stealth bomber. Right on his its wing is the sleek, supersonic B-1B Lancer, and anchoring the trio is the towering Titan itself, the B-52 Stratofortress. Featuring 2 UH-1Y Venom utility helicopters and 2 sleek AH-1Z Viper attack helicopters, known to Marines as the Huey and Cobra. This dynamic duo is the ultimate tag team of the Marine Air Ground Task Force. This is how legends are made. And if you think it's getting windy down on the Hudson, you are right. Approaching now are 2 massive CH-53E Super Stallions and 2 CH-53K King Stallions, the legendary heavy lifters of the Marine Corps. Sailors aboard amphibious ships affectionately call this giant the Hurricane Maker because its 3 massive engines generate a blinding downwash of air whenever it takes off. This is a beautiful showcase of inter-service unity. Whether responding to combat scenarios or devastating hurricanes, these crews share a common DNA of selflessness and bravery, always ready to extend a helping hand from the sky. Rumble in your chest. That is the sound of the United States Army and Army National Guard storming the New York City skyline with a massive combined air assault formation. Leading the charge is the double-rotor CH-47 Chinook heavy lifter, flanked by lethal AH-64 Apache attack helicopters and many iconic UH-60 Black Hawk utility transports. Chinook has been in continuous production for more than 60 years, while the Apache's helmet-mounted sight allows the aircraft sensors and weapons to follow wherever the crew member looks.
as a striking streak of black and gold arrives. The prestigious Al Farsan aerobatic display team representing the United Arab Emirates Air Force. These 7 elite pilots are flying their brand new twin-engine Honglu L-15 advanced jet trainers. The team's stunning black livery represents the oil hidden deep beneath the earth, while the gold reflects the vast, beautiful sands of the desert. For a deafening wall of sound as the United States Air Force commands the sky with an incredible 9-ship tactical fighter formation. Leading the charge is the F-22 Raptor and flanked by 4 iconic F-16 Fighting Falcons. This is the ultimate showcase of American air superiority. South next is a type formation from the U.S. Navy featuring 2 frontline F-A-18 Super Hornets escorting nimble F-5 Tigers. These aircraft belong to the Navy's elite adversary squadrons, where iron sharpens iron. By simulating enemy tactics, these elite pilots ensure that when American aviators face real threats, they are the most lethal, highly trained warfighters on the planet. Rocketing in next is a beautifully crisp formation of F-35A Lightning IIs from our steadfast NATO allies, the Royal Netherlands Air Force. The Dutch were one of the primary international partners involved in designing this revolutionary 5th-generation stealth fighter from day one. Here is a treat you absolutely do not see every day. AB-8B Harrier II jets, representing the Spanish Air and Space Force. Spain represents the last operational Harrier community in Europe, a proud legacy of Vistol aviation.
Sorry.
This represents Spain's 2 armed
deep rumble returning as the U.S. Marine Corps sweeps in with a formation of F-35B Lightning IIs and legacy F/A-18C Hornets. This is a beautiful snapshot of marine aviation in transition, but highlights the relentless, anytime, anyplace expeditionary power that keeps American interests hard local. Three F-35 Lightning IIs. Did you know that Italy operates both the conventional F-35A and the short takeoff and vertical landing F-35B, giving it flexibility from both land bases and aircraft-capable ships? Large over the New York City skyline is an essential site in global military operations. A massive U.S. Air Force KC-135 Stratotanker flanked by F-35A Lightning IIs. Air Force T-38 Talon, which has shaped generations of American aviators. For decades, it has trained fighter pilots, bomber pilots, test pilots, and astronauts in the skills needed for high-speed, high-performance flight. From the south, the United States Navy carrier strike formation of 6 FA-18EF Super Hornets. The Super Hornet is the backbone of today's carrier air wing. Its strength is versatility. It can fight air-to-air, strike targets ashore, suppress enemy air defenses, conduct reconnaissance, and even refuel other aircraft. Closing out our aerial review today with unparalleled British flair, look up for BAE Hawk T-1s from the United Kingdom's Royal Air Force, the world-famous Red Arrows. Watch as they fill the sky, trailing a magnificent patriotic patriotic plume of red, white, and blue smoke right across the city skyline. What a spectacular, vibrant exclamation point to end our review.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome United States Ambassador to the United Nations, Michael.
Hello, everyone. Great to be with you. And I just wanted to take a minute to talk to you about how incredible this day is and where we're sitting right now. To put it in perspective, for all of human history, thousands of years, we, people, got our rights from kings, queens, emperors, czars. That's how incredible our founding fathers.
Weird having you? No.
For, they always have to be defended. Now, as a diplomat, under a president for peace, under a vice president for peace, I can tell you what, they do all they can to make sure we're using words, not bullets. But our enemies know, our enemies absolutely know, when we're sitting at that diplomatic table and they look offshore and they see a ship like this, full of badass sailors, full of badass Marines, and sitting side by side with capable allies, they know President Trump, Vice President Vance, Secretary Rubio mean business, and they make my job a hell of a lot easier. So, as an Army guy, I stand here today proud to say, go Navy, and happy birthday, America. Thank you, and I salute you. God bless you.
Please welcome to the stage Chief of Naval Operations, Admiral Darrell.
Good morning, everyone. I thought the ambassador was going to say, go Navy, beat Army. Vice President Vance, Acting Secretary of the Navy, Cal, distinguished foreign heads of Navy, senior leaders, sailors, Marine, Coast Guardmen, honored guests, and friends, it's my pleasure to say welcome aboard USS Kearsarge. Vice President Vance, thank you for being with us here today. Your presence means a great deal to the Navy and Marine Corps team and every nation represented here. There's no better place to celebrate the enduring value and freedom than on board a United States warship. surrounded by the ships and sailors of nations committed to preserving peace and security at sea. Acting Secretary Cal, thank you, sir, for being here and serving as the reviewing official for today, and for bringing together this extraordinary gathering of ships, crews, and maritime leaders to honor 250 years of American independence. I also want to thank Captain Goshinsky and the crew of the Kearsarge. Great warships don't simply arrive ready. They are made ready through disciplined crews, careful planning, and countless hours of hard work. Today's ceremony is a reflection of that professionalism and the pride of our sailors and Marines take in representing our nation. So to the Kearsarge team, bravo Zulu. I also want to thank every unit involved in making this event possible. Your professionalism helped make this celebration worthy of the moment. We gather aboard an American warship to celebrate the 250th anniversary of the independence of the United States of America. 250 years ago, our nation declared that liberty was worth defending. From the very beginning, that defense depended on command of the sea. Our first Navy was created not simply to fight battles, but to protect our commerce, strengthen our alliances, and secure the freedom upon which our young republic depended. That story continues today. The International Naval Review is more than a ceremony. It's a display of maritime strength, shared purpose, and international friendship. It demonstrates that like-minded maritime nations continue to sail together in defense of our shared interests and shared values. We train together, we operate together, and if called upon, we are prepared to fight together. Our interoperability is built through years of shared operations, mutual trust, and professional respect. To every participating nation, thank you. Looking across the waterfront today, we see far more than a collection of ships. We see generations of maritime tradition, enduring partnerships, and the collective resolve of nations committed to preserving peace through strength. Your ships, your crews, and your presence remind us that maritime security is shared security. No nation can protect the sea alone. Together, through trust, interoperability, and shared resolve, we preserve the freedom of the seas, deter aggression, and help ensure stability for generations to come. God bless our nation, the United States Navy, and the sailors and families that serve. Happy birthday, USA!
Please welcome the Acting Secretary of the Navy, the Honorable Hung Cao.
Good morning, everyone. Happy birthday, America. Mr. Vice President, sir, welcome back to your Navy Marine Corps family. Today, we're marking two massive milestones. First, we're celebrating the birth of the United States and the sacred ideals of liberty, freedom, and self-government. This year, as we commemorate America's 250th anniversary, we honor 2.5 centuries of grit, sacrifice, and raw courage by the warriors who have defended these ideals. Second, the International Naval Review, standing on the deck of this legendary warship alongside our global allies and partners, proving to the world that our maritime coalition remains unbroken, lethal, and ready for the next 250 years. For 250 years, our Navy Marine Corps team has owned the high seas. We've defended this homeland, projected devastating power ashore, and represented the absolute best American strength around the globe. This history isn't just in the textbooks. It is welded into the steel of this ship, USS Kearsarge. In 1864, the original Kearsarge hunted down and destroyed the Confederate raider CSS Alabama off the coast of France. That victory showed the world that American sea power was real and that we will protect our nation's interests whenever and wherever they are threatened. Today's USS Kearsarge carries the exact same fighting spirit As a flagship of an amphibious ready group, the ship is the ultimate Swiss Army knife of national security. From launching Marines into the fight to delivering life-saving humanitarian aid and executing high-stakes special operations missions, Kearsarge gives the President and the Vice President lethal, flexible options that no other force on earth can match. Now let's be honest, Kearsarge is no spring chicken. She was commissioned in 1993. She's got over 33 years of hard miles behind her. But I've said this before and I'll say it again. Our sailors and Marines don't make excuses. Heck, you can give them a rusty K-bar and a leaky canoe and they'll sneak into your country and kill you. As for this ship and her crew, they rescued an Air Force pilot downed in Bosnia. They evacuated 2,500 people from the chaos of West Africa. They brought the fight to the enemy during Operations Enduring Freedom, Iraqi Freedom, and Operations over Libya. They surged into the Middle East to secure vital global shipping lanes and hunt down maritime threats. They delivered life-saving disaster relief in the Caribbean and Latin America, stepping it up during Hurricanes Irma and Maria when they devastated the region. And recently, they pushed deep into the high north and Baltic Sea, operating side by side with our allies and partners to remind our adversaries we represent maritime dominance wherever we sail. For 3 decades, Kearsarge sailed the world to reassure allies and remind our enemies, if diplomacy fails, we have a very big stick. American sea power is measured by our readiness to fight and our absolute commitment to serve. The International Naval Review isn't just about looking to the past, it's a call to action. 250 years ago, our founders knew that America's survival depended on a dominant Navy, and today we're answering that same call. That is the drive behind President Trump's Golden Fleet, our blueprint to build the dominant naval force that will carry America to the next 250 years. We're going to build ships. We're going to expand our fleet, rebuild our shipyards, inject strength into our industrial base, and dominate the technology of tomorrow. But most importantly, we're going to recruit, train, and retain the hard-charging sailors and Marines that are a true backbone of our maritime dominance. Every single watch, every single deployment, every single mission protects our economy, defends our allies, and preserves the freedom of the seas. The Golden Fleet of today is like Teddy Roosevelt's Great White Fleet before her. It is our promise to the next generation that America will continue to lead, continue to deter, and continue to preserve peace through strength. I have no doubt that when this country turns 500 years old, we will owe it under the protection of the lethal Navy Marine Corps team that we're building today. That is our promise. To our sailors and Marines, I'm never above you, I'm never below you, I'm always beside you. Semper Fi and Hoo-yah. Now, it is my distinct honor to introduce a leader who has fought tirelessly for our service members, our veterans, and our families. A brother in arms who once wore the uniform of the United States Marine. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming the 50th Vice President of the United States, the Honorable JD Vance.
How we doing? Hoorah! Semper Fi! And happy birthday to all the sailors and the Marines and all the service members of this incredible ship. Please, please, ladies and gentlemen, take a seat. You know, I know it's 100 degrees out here, but my speechwriters wrote me a nice 9-hour address, so it's going to be a long day. A long day. But let me start by saying, first of all, thank you for being here on this incredibly historic occasion. I have to give a shout out to Admiral Caudle and, of course, Acting Secretary Cal, 2 great Americans. Thank you for your leadership and for everything you've done to prepare us for this incredible celebration today. And I also, of course, got to give thank you, but also special greetings from the President of the United States for reviving this incredibly proud naval tradition as we celebrate 250 years of American daring and 250 years of American naval excellence. Today, we celebrate 250 years of America facing the future without fear. We celebrate 250 years of proving what a free people can achieve by the providence of our almighty Creator. I want to welcome the incredible sailors who are with us today, all the Marines, the Coasties, and countless others from all of our forces who serve our nation and do so proudly. And I especially want to thank and welcome our wounded warriors and Gold Star families, many of New York's finest police officers and bravest firefighters, and of course we have a number of local leaders from across this tri-state area. I'm honored to welcome the dozens of Navy chiefs and other guests from other countries around the world who represent the vessels joining us in today's review. And to the Americans who are watching back home, we have over 50 countries from all over the world who chose to send fighters or naval vessels here to honor our country. And we say from the bottom of our hearts, we are grateful for our friends, grateful for our allies on this special anniversary. It is a very American thing to ring in 250 years of American history by parading our naval and Air Force might for the world to see. But I can't help but consider that 250 years ago, the waters of New York Harbor looked very, very different. While the Continental Congress met in Philadelphia to ratify the Declaration of Independence, General Washington was right here in Manhattan, peering out on this beautiful land and beautiful sea. His attention was fixed on the horizon, watching for sails of the most powerful navy on earth. 1 week before, the British had begun landing troops on Staten Island, and they had landed 32,000 in just over 6 weeks. One colonist still in the city recounted it seemed as if all of London was afloat and heading to the new nation. War was coming, and everyone knew it. By July of 1776, 80% of New York's population had emptied out in anticipation of the coming violence. And that brings us back to our great General Washington. He knew the battles to come would be bruising and would demand much of his men. But they needed to know, through hot summers and cold winters, exactly what they were being asked to fight for. And so, just a few days after the Declaration of Independence was signed, George Washington read aloud the words of the incredible Declaration. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, and that among these rights are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Even today, 250 years to the day later, these words command a tremendous power over us as Americans. For 250 years, they have stirred our hearts, and they've reminded us of who we are as a people. But to Washington's soldiers, to the people to whom they were first read, think about this, they were entirely new. What has become standard American parlance, they had never heard those words before. And I think it's something striking to reflect on that in 2026, the Declaration was written with the assumption that its audience would immediately grasp its words. Though they had never heard it, they would know exactly what it meant. It wasn't written for historians. It wasn't written for academics. It wasn't written for the generations to come. It was written for the people of this fledgling country. It was written for the soldiers who would fight to turn those words into a new system of government. As a document, it does not handhold its readers. Its citizenship at a very hard level. It does not pause to explain who this Creator is. It doesn't explain what the equality of men means. It doesn't try to go into details about the consent of the governed. It simply declares these truths to be self-evident. 250 years later, it's worth asking, self-evident to whom? The Declaration proclaims truths the founders believed to all mankind, yes, but it says those truths in language intended to be familiar specifically to the American nation that it was authored to, authored by, and authored for. It was, as Jefferson put it later in his own life, an expression of the American mind. A document whose purpose wasn't, quote, to find out new principles or new arguments, but to place before mankind the common sense of the subject, the common sense of the American people. That people had been generations in the making. 1776 was not an accident. The patriots of that era understood themselves to be heirs to an older civilization who would carry it forward. Now, they shared with Great Britain the same language, the same God, the same system of common law. They even read many of the same books and observed many of the same customs. They shared the same understanding of justice and public life. George Washington's boyhood offers a small but revealing example. When he was 13 years old, he copied down more than 100 entries from a tiny little book called The Rules of Civility and Decent Behavior. It was not an American work, but it was first published in London more than a century before George Washington was born. Yet the America that formed Washington demanded qualities that no book, no manual could teach. Before General Washington commanded an army, he spent his 20s surveying America's wild interior, saving up money, learning self-reliance on a continent that rewarded initiative more than pedigree. It didn't care if you were a nobleman, it cared what you could do. Now, our society at the time reinforced the habits Washington learned in the wilderness. Frontier life rewarded resourcefulness, while America's colonial assemblies taught citizens to govern their own affairs. It taught citizens to be self-governing human beings. Churches at the time, especially those who were touched by the Great Awakening, reminded congregants that no earthly hierarchy outweighed the equal dignity of every human soul before its creator. All of that came together. And so it was no surprise that when Washington's soldiers first heard the Declaration 250 years ago, they understood precisely what it meant. They understood the meaning that was conveyed. It was seismic, but it was their birthright as citizens of this new republic. The words might have been new, but they expressed a feeling, something that already lived in the heart of every single American patriot. And I believe those words still live in the heart of every single American patriot today. And for 7 long years, they fought for that birthright. It wasn't easy. On some days, it was hotter even than it was today, as hard as that is to believe. Many suffered and died for that dream and died for those principles. But by the grace of Almighty God, they secured for us a free, a proud, and an independent republic that endures, and doesn't just endure, but thrives to this very day. As Washington traded in the uniform for the presidency, he remained preoccupied with the physical land that had shaped him. He imagined wagons crossing mountains, paths out of the Alleghenies and the Appalachians, and canals connecting the Potomac and the Ohio River to its western valleys. Our first president would not live long enough to see that vision of a continent connected. He would not live to see it to completion. But the rivers he surveyed in his youth carried on westward without him. They carried settlers and new riches and cities waiting to be built. And eventually, they carried a 13-year-old boy by the name of James Buchanan Eads. In the fall of 1833, Eads and his family, like many Americans, moved west to the nation's growing frontier, the land of opportunity. And as their steamboat approached St. Louis, its boiler exploded, throwing him into the turbulent waters of the Mississippi. The family lost everything, every earthly possession, and the river nearly killed young Eads. From that moment on, he vowed not to be a slave to that mighty river, but to make it his own. He received no formal education, but to support his family, he sold apples on the St. Louis riverfront, captivated by the bustle and frontier of boomtown St. Louis. At 16, he took a job on the water, and not long after, he conceived of an idea that most engineers at the time, they thought it was crazy. They thought it was insane. You know, sunken ships and other treasures lay scattered along the bottom of the Mississippi. No business in the world existed to salvage them, to take that buried treasure on the bottom of the mighty Mississippi and bring it to work for people. Unlike the more peaceful streams out east, the river's strong currents and turbid waters, most insisted that ordinary diving in the mighty Mississippi was impossible. You could not do what Eads proposed that we do. But he disagreed. And so he did what every American does when they're told they can't do something. He went out and did it anyway, and he did it himself. He bought a 40-gallon whiskey barrel, fixed it to a diving bell, and climbed in, and down he went all by himself. The riverbed was pitch black, the current pulling his feet every which way. Sand swirled around him like a dense snowstorm, he later recalled. But he located his target, a large hunk of lead, tied on the cable, and came back to the surface. Eads went on to become one of the nation's greatest civil engineers. He built the very first bridge spanning the Mississippi River south of its confluence with the Missouri. An impressive feat for a man who'd never built a bridge before. The people who told him, you can't build the most difficult bridge because you've never built a bridge before, he said, yes, I can, because I'm an American and I'm going to do it myself. It was the first on the planet, that bridge, to be made of steel. And residents of St. Louis still use that bridge to this very day, nearly 200 years later. That is American ingenuity and American greatness. At the river's mouth in Louisiana, Eads raised jetties that helped calm its violent flooding to prevent the buildup of silt. And by doing so, he transformed New Orleans from the 9th largest port in the United States to the 2nd most powerful port in the world, rivaling only the city that stands behind us. But Eads had already faced a still greater test, because as the Civil War broke out, the government summoned him to Washington for his help building the ironclads which the United States Navy would seize the Mississippi with. It was no matter that Eads had never built a gunboat in his life. He had never built a gunboat ever. Instead, he completed 700 of them in 100 days. It's unbelievable. The river ships that Eads built were so strong that the Navy deployed them into the ocean to secure the Gulf. They served their purpose. They defended the Mississippi, and in doing so, they helped preserve our Union. And so it kept growing. And of course, the American frontier made way to farms and factories stretching further and further west. River towns became great cities. Railroads reached the Pacific. Steel mills rose where once wilderness had stood. The American mind widened, and the Republican whose independence Washington won, that James Eads had helped sew together, grew into the most powerful industrial powerhouse in the history of humanity. For other nations, growing industry brought dispossession before it did prosperity. In the old world, the one our ancestors had left behind, the Industrial Revolution threw society into chaos. And into that chaos rushed vacuums and ideologies that answered the dignity of man with labor camps and killing fields. Where the old world led to communism and fascism, the Americans recognized that at root, they were a denial of everything that Washington and Jefferson had read to his men 250 years ago. The free world needed to win, but in order for the free world to beat communism and fascism, it had to outproduce them. And as in every conflict before, America looked to her sailors for help, and to the builders who made sure those sailors had the very best ships to sail on. Among them was a man that we know as Henry Kaiser. Like Eads, Kaiser had grown up with very little. The son of German immigrants, he dropped out of school at 13 to work the stockroom at a dry goods store in Utica, making $1.50 a week and commuting 4 miles each way on foot. Eventually, he moved to Spokane for better job opportunities, setting his sights on starting his own company. Now, he walked into a bank with no business, no workforce, and no history, just a single proposed contract and what the banker would later describe as sheer audacity. He walked out with a $25,000 loan. And with his workers, he erected the Hoover Dam and hundreds of miles of highway across the West. Everywhere he went, he organized ordinary Americans to build extraordinary things. And everywhere he went, he believed their welfare and the welfare of the enterprise that he was building went hand in hand. Kaiser pioneered health coverage at his construction sites. That's why we know the name of Kaiser, because he understood that men working in dangerous conditions, they deserve to see a doctor. He saw his workers as partners, and he walked the walk long before it was fashionable to do so. Where some say that America's story is one of the dispossessed struggling against the powerful, Kaiser shows that America's greatness is built by cooperation between all of our citizens from every single walk of American life. Now, that cooperation was important, but it became profoundly important the day after Pearl Harbor. The United States Navy at the time needed ships bigger and better and faster than anyone thought they could be built. We didn't have the biggest Navy in the world, but we needed one, and we needed one fast. So Kaiser did what Americans always do when confronted with the impossible. He put it on his shoulders and said, let's go do it. Kaiser had never made a ship in his life, but that wasn't going to stop him. First, he built shipyards all up and down the Pacific coast. Then he filled them with American workers, 250,000 of them. Farm boys from Iowa, miners from Appalachia, mothers from Detroit who had never held a welding torch. Together they launched nearly 15,000 Liberty ships, vessels that carried American cargo and sailors across 2 oceans. His Richmond Yard built one of them, the SS Robert E. Peary, in an astonishing 4 days and 15 hours. The shipbuilders Kaiser hired, they weren't just a means to an end, they were his partners. Kaiser looked at his workers and saw people, Americans who got sick, who had families to raise, who showed up in Richmond and Portland with little more than a hat in their hand, but who had amazing potential. He saw the potential of normal Americans when unshackled from destitution. And he saw them not just as mouths to feed or as workers to pay. He saw them as fellow citizens who could build amazing things. So he built housing near these shipyards and nursery schools to help mothers join the war effort. He extended the health plan he had started at his dams to every worker at every yard, opening it to the public after the U.S. won World War II. And though separated by generations, I tell the story of these 3 men because Kaiser and Eads and Washington, they were exactly the kind of men that Jefferson wrote the Declaration of Independence for. Kaiser was an American. He looked at what needed doing and he did it, and he trusted the men and women around them to do the same, knowing that he could only do his job if they did theirs too. Our Declaration of Independence may have spoken to universal human truths and broadly shared human desires. Of course it does. But it was a document written by and for a particular kind of people, the American people. From General Washington to James Buchanan Eads, from Henry Kaiser, one of America's great shipbuilders, to the sailors standing here today. And by the way, what you folks watching at home on TV may not realize is that everything that you saw, everything that you see today was destroyed last night in a storm, but these great sailors rebuilt it in 12 hours so that you all could be here, so that we could have this amazing procession, and so we could celebrate our 250th birthday in style. All of us, connected through the generations, rich and poor of every job, we are a people formed by generations of self-governance and personal industry. We are formed by Frontier Assembly Hall, and we are formed by the conviction that we are bound to one another, not only by bloodline nor creed alone, but by a common character, a shared fate, and a shared future. Ladies and gentlemen, I have to address what you will hear from some loud voices today, because as much as all of us, whether we're Democrat or Republican, whatever our political persuasion, all of us are celebrating. But you will hear a couple small but loud voices today speak obsessively not of our national greatness, but of our national imperfections. They will speak of the powerless and the dispossessed. They will tell you that America is just another country where the weak struggle against the strong. And if they acknowledge that there is anything to be proud of in our history, they'll say it's the fact that sometimes the powerless have won a zero-sum battle. They're wrong. They'll talk about America's sins with the anger and zeal of a brimstone preacher, but without any of the grace or forgiveness that must be present in the Christian faith. These people misunderstand the essence of America, from Thomas Jefferson to Henry Kaiser. They misunderstand that we all have moments of great power despite those very real imperfections. That there are victims and heroes who live inside of each of us, from the most ambitious leaders and builders to steel welders like my grandfather. People who had their own role to play in turning this dangerous wilderness into the proudest civilization in history. So what I'd ask you to do, my fellow Americans, on our 250th birthday, is to reject the two-dimensional view of your fellow citizens and reject the two-dimensional view of your country. Reject that America is a place for zero-sum thinking, because it is not. Our history is one of people carving a great civilization out of the wilderness. Reject the view of your nation that sees only its sins, but not its grace and its greatness. Everything that we have done as a country, we have done together. Not as citizens divided against each other, but as a common people working towards a common future. When we won our independence, we were led by General Washington to liberty and greatness, but marching ahead of him were thousands of boys from all over the new nation who gave Washington's military genius its foundation and its firepower. When we saved the world in World War II from tyranny in the 20th century, of course we needed great military leadership and tactical genius from our generals, but we also needed Rosie the Riveter, Iowa farm girls who built the machinery of war, and the sweethearts they sent to a world away to storm the beaches at Normandy. When we went to the moon, of course our great astronauts flew the rockets, and our great men of science and engineering built them. But there were clerks and janitors and welders like my grandfather who each played their distinctive American part. All of us have a part. All of us had our part, our role to play in creating 250 years of a proud American story. And all of us will need to do our part to create the next 250 years of American greatness. So I say to all my fellow Americans, I'm proud of you. Happy birthday. And happy birthday to our great nation. Today, my friends, we celebrate. And tomorrow, we get back to work. God bless you. Thank you for having me.
Hello, Detroit auto worker. Let me thank you for your time. You work a 40-hour week for a living. it on down the line. Hello, Pittsburgh, steel mill worker, let me thank you for your time. You work a 40-hour week for a living, just to send it on down the line. This is for the one who swings the hammer, driving home the nail, for the one behind the counter, ringing up the sales, for the one who fights the fire, the one who brings the mail, for everyone who works behind the scenes. You can see them every morning in the factories and the fields, in the city streets and the quiet country towns, working together like spokes inside a wheel. They keep this country turning around. Hello, Kansas, Wheatfield farmer, let me thank you for your time. You work a 40-hour week for a living, just to send it on down the line. Hello, West Virginia coal miner, let me thank you for your time. You work a 40-hour week for a living, just to send it on down the line. This is for the one who drives the big rig up and down the road, for the one out in the warehouse bringing in the load, for the waitress, the mechanic, the policeman on patrol, for everyone who works behind the scenes, with a spirit you can't replace with no machine. Hello, America, let me